Hello, and welcome to the Growth Drive Hot Seat. I'm your host, George Sandman, founder and CEO of Growth Drive, and Growth Drive is the #1 best-selling business advising system. From the hot seat, you're going to hear from your fellow senior business advisors as they get naked and share truths about client engagements and running a thriving advisory business. Now, I'm the author of The Growth Driving Advisor, Proven Strategies for Leading Businesses from Stuck to Best in Class, and this book is written based on my experiences working with over 1,000 business advisors like you on thousands and thousands of business cases. Published by Forbes and available on Amazon and Kindle. Here's what you're going to learn. Every 2 weeks, we're going to put an advisor on the hot seat, and we're going to get topics answered about winning engagements, how we tackle the things we see in those engagements, about running a thriving advisory business, new and proven business models, and open mic. You can submit your topics and we will have our guests answer them online. We publish every 2 weeks. Never miss an episode. You can subscribe, like, and share on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Here's your next episode. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Excited to have you back here in the Advisor Hot Seat. This is a chance for us to really get down and, as we say, get naked about the things that senior professionals see inside their engagements. And today, my guest is Anna Halaburda. Anna, welcome.
Thank you, George. It's great to be here today.
Awesome. Anna and I have worked together for a long time, and we've become very good friends. So we will try not to wax into the irreverent, but we might. And Anna is when I first met you, right, you had Triumph, and then you created and are growing Be Ready Exits. And you want to talk about probably not, get a brief description of Triumph so people can place you in the stratosphere, a little bit on your background, and then why you started Be Ready and where you're trying to take it. And then we'll get into the things we see in client engagements. Sound like a plan?
It's a plan, George. Thank you. All right, I'll just jump right in. Let me give my background first. I am a CPA for over 40 years. I've been a CFP, Certified Financial Planner. I got that in 86. Triumph Business Services, LLC out of Denver, Colorado. And it mimics a full-blown CPA firm, but we specifically did not name it CPA firm. We named it Business Services because we were entrepreneurs. My co-founder, Custo Avalos, and I co-founded Triumph Business Services, and it was geared towards advising business owners. Everything from how to structure the best structure for your business, obviously tax planning, how to actually run a business, what the different phases of business growth were, because we're entrepreneurs. We've been kicked to the curb a couple of times going out, trying to figure it for ourselves, like many business advisors. And that has grown. We have clients literally worldwide on that. About 6-8 years ago, I started to understand that when it came to business advisory, exit planning was key and critical there. And what exit planning does really is it focuses the business owner's attention on not only growing the business and the day-to-day minutia that business owners get into. And so I started to understand that a lot of the other business advisors that I worked with really were cards close to the vest. They were afraid to share too much. And if it's our clients, that's one thing. But if it's another advisor's clients whose client needs that kind of help, then they're worried about, if they're another accounting firm, are we going to steal the business from who's ever referring it in?
And is that Be Ready's mantra is really, we can collaborate and we're not here to steal your lunch money?
That's exactly what it is. And we do one-on-one client engagements, but what we also specialized in is the collaboration with other professionals such as CPAs, attorneys, financial planners, money managers, insurance professionals, whomever is out there advising clients on within their own siloed specialty. Most of these do not have the experience to advise a client or the training on how to figure out where they're starting from, what the value of their business is, what it needs to be when they exit, whether that's retire, go on to the next big business project, whatever that looks like. And is that going to be enough money? Because most businesses are the largest single asset.
Yeah, you bet.
So in working and collaborating with other business advisors, our goal is to protect their relationship. There's no hornet any madder than a money manager who's dealt with a business owner for 15, 20 years and have gone through the hard times and have collected $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a year in fees and commissions from providing key services to that business owner, only to have the liquidity event when the business owner sells, and some exit planner or M&A professional comes in and says, oh, that's just a small shop. I've got somebody you should be talking with. So they refer it out, and the big liquidity event, let's say their payday comes along, and all of a sudden they're cut out of the loop. Well, the Be Ready business model is to protect and build that relationship. Part of it is the Be Ready team. We educate and train the other advisor as we go through the process. I'm not going to teach them to do my job, but I am going to teach them the concepts and the path forward so that they can be a good participant in the exit planning process. And their role, they can be as involved in there within their own silo as they need or want to be, or they can be a cheerleader on the sides, the business owner's best friend, to help them through the process.
Because there's a lot of emotion in the process as well. Yeah, and I'm hoping to have we have a future guest that's we're gonna get into that. She's probably the worldwide expert on this issue. So Anna, what I love is, and this is one of the reasons you and I have become such good friends. There's a referral is kind of a dirty word, right? And your business model recognizes that. This is about collaboration, which is, I know it's a hackneyed term, but this is about, hey, we are working together for the benefit of the client. We're each going to, get our equitable participation in the good we're delivering. That's capitalism. That's great. But I think you're saying, and I've seen you do it, we respect and honor your role, and we support you, and we want to make sure that you meet your business advisory needs as well. Can you share how that's played out in an engagement?
Absolutely. I'm at an ESOP seminar downtown Denver, and everybody's sitting in this huge room, and during breaks and on lunch, we pair off into different groups or go off into different groups and talk. And I start talking about business exit planning. And I'm approached by a gal who, her and I have become good friends at this point. And she says to me, I've got a client, and he is looking to sell his business. He's done a lot of work on it, but I'm really kind of struggling to figure out how he can leave his business and walk away from it with enough money to live. And this gal's name, and is it okay to mention her name, George?
Sure. Absolutely.
Alicia Firestone. What a wonderful name. I love her name.
Absolutely.
But she's an LPL advisor. She does financial planning, money under management. And so she said, would you step in, meet with the client, take a look at it? So I did that. I met with the client, and we all got along. And so I brought him to market. and Alicia's looking for that liquidity event out there. So I brought him to market, and we got all the way to about a week before the closing. And so, we've got the LOIs in place, and we're ready to go. And in the latest update of the contract, it was disclosed that they were going to change the name of the business day one. Now, let's look at some of the emotional backstory here that I found out working with this client. Client and his wife had been married for quite some time.
What was his reaction to the fact that they were going to change the name?
He walked away from the deal.
Boy.
All right, so they were offering him 10x when at that, 10 times earnings, when at that time 3 and 4x was normal, not only for the business environment, the economy at that time, but also within his industry, within the geographic setting of Front Range, Colorado. And this man could have just retired, not worried about anything else. But the problem was he and his wife could never have children. The business was his legacy.
Oh, fascinating.
His baby. So he walked away from it so that he could find somebody to take over the business, buy the business that would retain his legacy. And so we did a complete about face, and I found a different deal structure for him, which is something I call the Structured Stock Redemption Plan, an SSRP. And not everybody understands that particular exit strategy, but it took us another 2 years to find the appropriate individual to come in and take over the business. We did the contracts, everything got in place, and so it's a number of years later. Everybody's happy and satisfied. Militia retained the client, over the years. The client moved out of state and kind of rode off into the Arizona sunset. So
it's interesting it's interesting the things that can blow up a deal when you're at the altar, and they it's sometimes it's like that. That's fascinating. So and you ended up with a very happy collaboration partner, right?
Right.
Happy client. It's so important that when we're doing this business advising, whether you're, and I know you talked about Triumph, you work on growing profits and making the purposeful link between profits and transferable value. This ends up being a team exercise, right? This is not. Let's talk for a sec, Anna, about that concept and about how. Like, why do we get along so well? Why do we work together? What do you get out of the work we do together? Because there's having an echo chamber is one thing. Having access to a platform is another.
Well, one of the things that any advisor challenges advisors face as they go out to do their job, and historically, what I've seen with business advisors, and I've collaborated with business advisors over the years. I've had them as clients over the years.
Sure.
And one of the, mantras in the advisory business is you want something that's wash, rinse, and repeat. Yeah. But most advisors don't have a tool, a platform to do it. So they're recreating an engagement every time they go through and get a new engagement, a new client, unless their scope is so very, very narrow, such as, all right, I'm a money manager. I want your 401k money. So that's a very narrow conversation. But if somebody's collaborating or advising a business owner, the dynamics there are huge. When we talk about business drivers, And so most of the advisors, find a tool or 3 or 4 that they love. But what they're tasked is, getting what they can out of one tool and taking that piece that they like, that they understand, that they can apply to their client, coupling that up with tools from another system, and take out of that what's good until they find something that works best for them. And up until recently, when the technology has caught up to business advisory services, but when we specifically start looking at not the narrow business advisory services, but the broader consulting on growing the value of the business, you need to look at all of the business drivers. There is not an easy to use, predictable outcome platform until recently. Now there's, and I have used many tools, and I've got, my own tool bag.
Yeah, absolutely. I learn a ton from you. Yep.
And so, like for instance, there's one tool that I love. It's Excel based. It's called Profit Sense. Yep. What a wonderful tool. But it has a wide, narrow, if that makes any sense, range of application. And in order to get all of the benefit of using the tool, you've got to spend some time using the tool. So when
and for clients, it's not written in CEOEs, right? So you sit down with Profit Sense with a client, and if they're not if they're not in that slim minority that is very numbers centric, they're much more. They tend to be much more visionary and operational. You sit down with Profit Sense, and we all see the client's eyes glaze over, right?
Well,
so sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Profit Sense was written for the advisor to have the information to communicate that to the client. It does produce great reports, but you have to sit there and walk through the reports with the client and explain to them why that is a valuable tool, what is the information that they're receiving from that tool, and then start to get them to say, all right, well, how can I learn, change what I'm doing, change my habits, change my operations in order to grow the value? So a lot of that historically has rested on the skill set of the business advisor.
Yeah, because Profit Sense doesn't show you the levers, right? It shows you the numbers to work on for sure, but it doesn't show you the levers to pull inside the business to generate a predictable outcome.
Correct. Yeah. So, and it does a good job, and that's a tool in my toolbox. It's, let's call it the hammer. But if I was a roofer, I want a freaking nail gun or a, bang, bang, bang.
I want my Hilti. Yeah, you bet.
So, but which is why when you develop Growth Drive and Clarity, you developed it as a platform and not a tool.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough.
This is not a paid promotion, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, but thank you, Anna.
Well, because you and I have been friends for a while and have, worked on engagements, I got to see behind the curtain a bit.
Yeah.
I was going to say behind the kimono, but, let's cut that one out.
No, but, and and those of you listening, I call Anna, we pick the brains of senior professionals, right? And say, okay, what are you using? What are we seeing? And we get a consensus. And then we could take that back into the lab, into the skunk works. And so, which is why I think the point that I'm anticipating you're going to make, in fact, I'll shut up and let you make the point. Go ahead.
That your platform, and, let's differentiate what a platform is to what a system is. You have both training and software that between the two, and let me give you and I'm going to steal this from you, the third leg of the stool. You have the collaboration from people who
Yeah.
are business advisors in the industry that understand and know your technology. So there's also a community out there, which is, in my mind, is extremely important.
Yeah.
So that if somebody says, okay, I'm a business advisor and I want my job to be easier. I'm really good at what I do, but I don't want to, create a whole new set of Excel spreadsheets or customize them. You want something out there that does that part for you. But not only that, it gives you additional insights and actions to take that the advisor can either follow or not. But
Yes.
from what I've seen, those are the best in class actions
Yep.
to address how do you build the value? How do you build recurring revenues and profits? How do
Yes.
you build the recurring cash flow? And when you change something in the business, and this might be, I probably got this either from talking with you or from your book, Growth Drive, that when you change one thing in the business, it is not out there as a standalone thing. If you increase sales, you need to make sure you have the infrastructure to handle the increased sales. So
In a way that delights the customer. Right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's all.
instead of makes their life harder, it delights the client.
Yeah.
It delights the customer, so that you can sell more, but your delivery time went from 10 days to 60 days. That's not a happy happenstance.
No, that's right. That's
So,
exactly right. And
and so when under the Be Ready moniker, when I look at collaborating with other advisors, you also need a platform under which the other advisor who does not have your background, your training, they can understand the process as well
yes.
as the owner understanding the process, so that they're not there on a separate call after you get done engaging with a client for a day or a week, having a private conversation saying, I'm not sure that gal, seems to know what she's talking about, but that doesn't seem right to me. You take away that pushback from the other advisor, because if they don't understand the process, if they can't see where you're leading the client's business,
Yes.
they will often, if they don't know it, they get scared. But,
Voodoo, right? It creates voodoo. I completely agree. And that's the delta between a qualitative, right? And you're describing a qualitative experience and a quantitative experience. And we have, ladies and gentlemen, we're quants, right? We love to quantify, to measure, and to do it in ways with numbers that some of which are related to have dollar signs in front of them, many of which are operational metrics. And what's cool, Anna, so when you use the 3 dimensions of growth, for example, with the methodology, with another advisor, so we take a wealth planner who has this much experience. I mean, they typically have grown a business, right? Their own, but they've never run a manufacturing company, what have you, like a company that's similar to the clients. When you have a common framework, it's something that's easy to approach for the advisors and for the business owners. What's your experience been in terms of gaining momentum and helping to start to deliver change?
one of the things I really try to do is I have a variety of, and I call them introductory tools.
Sure.
Some of these are, the level one,
Mm-hmm.
in clarity. Some of these are surveys from like the IEPA.
Sure.
And some of these are from my own experience as an advisor.
Yeah, you have a terrific quick value gut check on your website. Yeah.
Yep. And
Veracity
so,
numbers. Yep.
yep, yeah, the veracity of the financials. So what I always recommend is for the referring advisor to take the survey and the level 1 of clarity themselves, because another advisor will not be able to understand the output
Yes.
unless they have their own input and see what the output is
Yep.
to see if it's real or not. And that's a secondary sales process that I go through,
Sure.
because I need the advisor to understand what I'm doing and to understand the information the client is getting and just how impactful it is.
Sure.
And that's really twofold, because here I am giving you the special sauce here. The recipe to my special sauce is that if, like say I've got, another advisor out there, almost doesn't matter what discipline they're in, and they take the surveys and they understand it. Usually by the end of the engagement, I will say, would you like to do this for your own business?
Interesting.
So if I can get the other advisor to get their business more valuable, running better, them making more money, have it be easier for them to make the money they're making.
Yep.
All right. So even if they refer me 1 or 2 or 3 more clients, but they may become a client as well, because they need what this type of advisor is offering them.
Yeah.
They need to eat their own cooking.
Let's eat our own dog food. Absolutely. You know what's interesting? I'll tell a quick war story. These concepts, the CPA firm was looking at themselves and saying, "Listen, why is our tax practice struggling so badly?" And they applied some discipline, some concepts that you'll find in the book. They ended up selling their entire firm to a top, let's just say top 10 without giving it away, but firmly in the top 10 of U.S. accounting firms, because they had made it such a well-run machine. And I can tell you that the managing partner of the firm became a friend for life. Big fan. So helping them understand. So Anna, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that you sit down with, let's say, a wealth advisor, right? And they're running an advisory business with support staff, with goals, with all the things that marketing and sales and all the things that come along with it. And you're saying, okay, yeah, I'm working with this client, and we may work with several, and I think that's a pretty common experience for you, right? They start getting some traction, they're going to open up their Rolodex, but you're pivoting and saying, hey, what about you? Are you ready to run the marathon? That's fascinating. I did not know that, by the way. Thanks for sharing the secret sauce.
As a case in point, several weeks ago, I met, there was a lady, I was out to dinner.
You're not just out to lunch.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I am, but I was catching an early dinner. I was out seeing clients, and I said, all right, so I'm going to stop. And there's this lady sitting next to me, and she's got her laptop open and she's having dinner. Turns out she was waiting for her daughter to get done with hockey practice at a rink close by.
Been there. Yep.
And so we started talking, and she's a business advisor to the medical profession here in the Front Range area. And the more we spoke, the more we found we had in common.
Right.
So I said, great, let's keep in touch. We traded cards. I sent her an email. Great to meet you. And then a couple of weeks ago, we finally connected. And she said, I'm holding a symposium for the medical field. Uh, let's talk about how you might fit into it. You know, it's going to be pre-recorded because it's hard to get doctors in a room.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so by the end of an hour and a half conversation, and our conversation was scheduled for 30 minutes, she said, "You're on." Um, and so I'll be speaking at this symposium in April.
Terrific.
But I said, take the surveys. So I believe that she is going to become a wonderful collaboration partner because I'd love to
Awesome.
work with this gal. I really would. She's smart. She's bright. We talk the same language,
That's awesome.
but she has her niche. And so I can see us working together. And that's from a conversation. I was tired. She was tired. Uh,
Yeah, you never know, right? You're one
just
chance
never
encounter
know.
away from a tremendous relationship, and that's true of so many things in life. You know, one of the things that you've said that really resonates is this concept of a platform, and that's something that candidly, you and I have been talking about, business advising systems, business advising platforms, and what we have here is a platform, right? How do we plug in? Well, we have a platform that interacts. Oh, by the way, that interacts with outside. Can't can't solve all the world's problems. We interact with outside systems like Profit Sense to help to better help the client. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Platform and collaboration are joined at the hip, and
George, and because this is a conversation that our community will be listening to, the other, and because the Be Ready business model is geared to collaborate with other professionals,
sure,
one of the things that I always say is, I don't know everything. I'm the first to admit it.
mm-hmm.
Uh, there are people out there that have strengths and weaknesses, but understanding how for one step back, for a business advisor to understand how they got to where they're at, that's important. And
Mm-hmm.
that's important to me as a collaborator. So if you collaborate with somebody, how did they get to that point in their business advisory services? When I went to
Sure.
university, there wasn't a college course called consulting,
No, there still isn't, right?
not
I
to
mean,
my knowledge, but
that's there are plenty of MBAs who would argue with that, but you're right. You're right.
and and so most of the middle market, lower middle market advisors have either come up because they've uh, started and grown a business in a particular industry, maybe one or two, and they've been successful and then been able to really monetize
Yep.
uh, what they've done. And maybe it's because they have a process. Maybe it's because they have a knack and intuition of making the right moves. Like maybe it is one of the MBAs out there.
Sure.
Uh, so, they've done it through experience, as I, like to pick up the old term, the school of hard knocks. And they go out there and they see other business owners struggling and they want to help them. I've
Yeah.
got one client. He's a client of my partners at Triumph, and he comes to me for business advisory skills. So he has started to advise other small businesses in his industry how he got profitable, how he grew his business.
Sure. Sure. Heck of a legacy, right? To share that out with the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's one way to get into a business advisory. Another one is that you've worked your way up, you've sat in the COO, the CFO, the CEO seats,
Yep.
um, and uh, you know how to run a certain size business in a certain industry in a certain location, and you can duplicate that. So you have a narrow focus on who your business owners are. you know, like whether it's in medicine or whether it's in transportation. So they're really focused on delivering what they deliver. And then you have people who are specialists in one area who are called into an advisory engagement,
Yes.
you know, to do things like
Marketing plan.
marketing,
Right?
websites,
Sure.
whatever that looks
Which
like.
I say with all affection and respect, wrench turners, right? These are people who have specialty expertise, and we need to bring them in. And as business advisor, you don't. I mean, you do happen to know a lot about these aspects, but you're not a marketing professional, right? You're not a CMO. You're not. But you here's the thing, and this is a key. You help your clients see where outside expertise could help them break through a logjam, could help them make their processes better, grow more quickly, and that is incredibly valuable. Yeah. Anna, we've been chatting for a few minutes here, about a half hour. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap this up, which makes me sad. Our conversations, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes go into the 2 hours free form, but we'll stay on task today. If there were one thing, right, piece of advice, admonition, warning, suggestion for clients, advisors, the market, what would that be, do you think? Put you on the spot.
Well, and I'm just falling back on the Be Ready business model right now. The collaboration part of it is that whenever you find a new tool, test it out on yourself in your own practice first, run your own numbers through it.
Sure.
That's the only way you will understand, but more importantly, trust the output of the tool and how to apply it. And then if you are advising a client that, your business is too dependent upon the owner, and if the business is 100% dependent upon you, then you need to put best practices in place within your own practice in order to deliver that. Do it by example, not by, do what I say, not do what I do.
Sure. No, eat your own dog food. Yeah. Eat your own dog food.
You absolutely have to do it.
Yeah.
And then, one of the things that I've learned is that if you don't know the answer to a question, it's easy to say, I don't know, but we can find out.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny. Yes. I don't know, but I'll get the answer for you. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, Anna, listen, super fun conversation. Thank you very much. And you're kicking alphabet out in the world. It's fun to work with you. And so listen, folks, if I'm sure Anna is actually, it's funny. I'm sure that Anna's available, right? You're one of us. You're a net giver. You're a thought leader, and it's fun. These are always fun conversations. So thank you very much. And folks, to find Anna and people like her, you only have to go as far as the Growth Drive community. And there we have a lot of folks here. Anna happens to be one of our leaders, and it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George, for letting me share a little bit about my experience and what I do. Thank you.
Awesome.